Fat loss resistance is very often not just a willpower problem or even purely a calorie problem. It's a signaling problem across your gut, your hormones, your stress, all of which are interconnected. Two people can eat the exact same diet and get completely different results. This is also why fasting protocols pulled from a podcast or an influencer that are just applied blindly can help one person and actually harm another. The variable isn't just willpower or discipline. It's actual physiology, and you can't know your physiology without looking directly.
Welcome to Health Decoded, your number one source for real health information with your hosts, Dr. Alessi and Matt Tack.
If you've dieted before, and I mean you've really dieted, counted calories, done the cardio, done everything you were told to do, and the weight just kept coming back, and maybe even sometimes more than before, I need you to hear this and hear this clearly. It wasn't because you didn't have willpower and you failed in that regard. That was your metabolism doing exactly what it's designed to do. And so today, I'm going to walk you through why the conventional approach to fat loss, which is eat less, move more, actually works against you over time. We're going to talk about metabolic adaptation, why your thyroid is probably even involved if your labs come back normal, and why the fix isn't eating less. It's a process called reverse dieting, and most people have never even heard of it because it's the opposite of everything the diet industry sells. This is Health Decoded. I'm Dr. Alessi. Let's start with what actually happens in your body during a calorie-restricted diet, because almost nobody explains this. Your body doesn't know the difference between intentional diet and famine. It has one system for detecting low energy intake, and this is an ancient part of our evolution. It evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to protect you from starvation, not to help you fit into your summer dress. So when you drop your calories, let's say, for example, you go from maintaining on 2,200 calories a day down to 1,400, your body registers that deficit within days, and it starts making adjustments. This is called adaptive thermogenesis, or more simply, metabolic adaptation. And here's what that looks like physiologically. Your resting metabolic rate drops, and not just from the weight loss itself. Studies on this going back to the Minnesota starvation experiment and more recently studies on the Biggest Loser contestants show that metabolic rate drops beyond what would be predicted by body weight and composition change alone. Your body is actively becoming more efficient, burning fewer calories to do the same tasks. Your thyroid function shifts. Specifically, your body reduces conversion of T4 to the active thyroid hormone T3. And it actually increases a conversion to what's called reverse T3, which is an inactive, metabolically inactive version of T3 thyroid hormone. Your labs might still show normal on a TSH, which is why many people get told that their thyroid is fine when their metabolic function is clearly not fine. Because TSH is not the entire story. If we're not looking at free T3, free T4, and reverse T3, we're missing the whole picture. Your hunger hormones also shift against you. Leptin, which is the hormone that signals satiety, it drops. Ghrelin, the hormone that drives hunger, rises. This isn't just in your head. You are biochemically hungrier during and after a diet than you were before it. And your non-exercise activity, which is the fidgeting, the extra steps, the unconscious movement throughout your day, this drops without you noticing. Your body is finding calories to save everywhere it can. So put that all together, and here's the outcome. Someone finishes a crash diet, goes back to eating normally, and they gain all the weight back, oftentimes plus more, because their metabolic rate is now lower than it was before they started. They might have lost weight. They might have hit their goal for their wedding, but they put their body into a slower metabolic state that when they stop that diet, their hunger signaling is now dysregulated, and nobody told them any of this. And that's why the failure rate of conventional dieting, it is what it is. It's not a discipline problem. It's a predictable physiological response that you're not taught to manage. So let me tell you about, this is a patient pattern I see constantly in our clinic. I'm going to use an example of a patient. She's not a specific person, but this is a composite of what walks through the door multiple times a month. So let's say Sarah is in her late 30s. She's dieted on and off for 15 years. Every diet works at first. She loses 15, maybe 20, maybe 30 pounds. But every time, within a year, it's back. By the time she came to see us, she tells us she's eating less than 1,300 calories a day and she's gaining weight. She's exhausted. She's cold all the time. Her hair is starting to thin. And she's very convinced that something is wrong with her. Something is wrong, but it's not what she thinks. When we run a comprehensive lab panel, her free T3 is low normal range, her reverse T3 is now elevated, and her resting metabolic rate, which we test directly rather than just estimating, is significantly below what her age, height, and weight should predict. Her body has spent 15 years learning to survive on less. Every diet has made this worse, not better. And the standard advice she's been given, which is eat less, move more, was the exact opposite of what she really needed. And this is not a rare case. This is a predictable result of chronic dieting. And it's why so many of you that are listening have felt like your body's broken, but it's not broken. It's adapted. If anything, it's doing what it was designed to. So if under-eating causes this problem, the fix has to address the cause to make sense. And this is not just add another restrictive diet on top of already a suppressed metabolism. This is where the concept of reverse dieting comes in. And I want to be very precise about what it actually is, because it can get oversimplified online into just eat more and you'll be fine, which isn't quite right either. Reverse dieting is the deliberate, gradual increase of caloric intake, typically in small increments by maybe 50 to 100 calories a week, focused primarily on protein and complex carbohydrates with the specific goal of restoring metabolic rate before pursuing further fat loss. And here's why gradual matters, because if Sarah went from the 1,300 calories to 2,200 calories overnight, she would gain fat rapidly because her body has spent over a year adapted to running on very little, and this sudden surplus is going to get stored, not spent. Her body has to relearn how to utilize this energy. So the gradual increase gives her metabolism room to begin to upregulate, to essentially relearn that food is available and it's safe to increase our output again. What we're watching for during this process is the resting metabolic rate should climb, energy should get better, sleep should get better. And for women, if the cycle has been irregular, they often begin to normalize. This can take, depending on how long and how severely someone's been under eating, anywhere from 2 to 6 months before we even start talking about a fat loss phase again. I know that's not what people want to hear. Nobody wants to hear we need to increase your food and wait months before we address the weight. But here's the reality. If we skip this step and just put someone back on another caloric deficit, we're going to be rebuilding a broken foundation. The diet might work again short term, but it's going to fail long term for the exact same reasons it failed before. Why would we repeat the same cycle? This is also where energy systems matter. And I want to touch on this briefly because it explains why reverse dieting is not just about weight, it's about function. Your body has 3 primary energy systems. The phosphagen system, which is for short bursts, 0 to 9 second high output activity. The glycolytic system, which is for moderate intensity efforts, and the oxidative system, or aerobic engine, for sustained long activity. Chronic undereating is going to impair all 3 of these, but especially the oxidative system, because that's the system most dependent on thyroid function and mitochondrial health. This is why chronically dieted patients report they used to be able to do things they no longer can. Climbing stairs without getting winded, doing a workout that used to be easy. And that's not aging. In many cases, that's metabolic adaptation, and it is reversible. If you recognize yourself in any of what I've just been describing, the chronic dieting, plateau, worse results despite eating less and less, feeling fatigued or cold, hair thinning, irregular cycles if you're a woman, the instinct is always to just diet harder, cut more, add more cardio, but that's the worst thing you can do in this state. And it's why so many people end up worse off a year later than when they started. The actual first step is an assessment, not another diet. You need to know, what is your actual resting metabolic rate right now, not estimated from a formula? What do your thyroid markers actually look like beyond TSH? What's happening with your hunger and stress hormones? Without that information, you're just guessing, and you've probably already spent years guessing. In the next 2 episodes of this mini series, we're going to build on this. So episode 2, we're going to get into the gut and hormone connection and where fasting fits into all of this, including some very direct talk about who should and should not be fasting, especially women, because there's a lot of bad advice out there. Episode 3, we're going to talk about the piece almost nobody focuses on, which is building metabolically active muscle as your long-term fat loss strategy. If this episode described your last 10 years of dieting, I want you to sit with that. I want you to really think on it, not panic. Your body isn't failing you. It's responding exactly the way it's supposed to, and the path forward looks different than what you've tried before, but that's the point. I want to thank you for tuning in today to Health Decoded. If you want to know what your metabolism is actually doing right now, not just estimated, but tested, that's exactly what we do at Ascend Functional Health. There's a link in the show notes. You can book a discovery call with me or a member of my team, and we can dig into every single piece that we talked about in this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on episode 2.
Thank you for tuning in to Health Decoded, where we break down the truth about all things health and empower you to take charge of your well-being. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. For more resources, personalized support, or to have your questions answered live on the show, visit Ascend Functional Health and head to the contact page to connect with us directly. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, your health is in your hands.